Well, awards odds are out for the next NFL season, and our sweet beloved Tetairoa McMillan is one of the leaders for Rookie of the Year. Will he take it away? What are the odds that it actually is possible? Damon and I are going to break it all down on the other side of this countdown. Don't you go anywhere. It's the AZ Wildcats podcast.
Welcome into the AZ Wildcats podcast, live from beautiful downtown Phoenix, Arizona here at PHNX HQ2. I'm Damon Fairall. He is Kevin Thomas, and we got a loaded show for you today. We're going to be talking draft odds, or not draft odds really, but more like future odds on recent draft pick Tetairoa McMillan, highest drafted Arizona player in quite some time. And just kind of the impact that we think that T-Mac is going to have on the league in year one for the Carolina Panthers with his new quarterback, Bryce Young. Also maybe look at some of, the other recent Big 12 draft picks. But just to start things off, Kevin, how are we living here on a fine Thursday morning?
Feeling good, feeling great. It's my girlfriend's birthday, so happy birthday to her. I'm excited to have the birthday dinner later tonight. I don't know where yet. Like, it's a big group gathering, so I don't know where we're
I
going.
thought that you were about to say, like, you got to figure it out still. And I was about to be like, my guy.
Yeah, no. She literally organized everything for her own birthday. Got, like, people flying in from all over the place, so.
Made it easy on you.
Yeah, no, all I got to do is show up. I'm very excited for that part of things. And also, Damon, I'm starting to fear that it's getting hot out. It's getting real hot out.
It certainly is.
And I'm not excited about that. You know what I mean? I was walking my dog recently, and I just started thinking to myself, like, it's about that time of year where, like, he can't go out in the middle of the day. Like, it's over. It's getting hot. And I cannot wait for, like, the winter and the fall already for 1, football, and for 2, basketball, and for 3, great weather. I absolutely cannot wait for that.
You're an anti-summer guy?
Not anti-summer, but like I'm a sweaty dude. So like,
yeah.
Like the less days I can spend in 100+ mile per hour Fahrenheit heat, like I'm gonna do that. You know what I mean? Yeah. So not excited for the summer, but I am excited to eventually have football and basketball back in our lives because it's that time of year where now I'm just itching. It's the dog days of summer, and I'm itching for sports.
Well, certainly from a content standpoint, yeah, the summer is nasty for your boys here, but. I'm a summer guy. I'm a summer boy. Always have been, always will be. Even though I've always lived in Arizona and it's, hot as hell outside. But I just love it, man. Something about the vibes, the warm weather. That being said, Kevin, I got to get back to this whole girlfriend situation. You didn't have to plan a thing.
No. Well,
Wow.
like she
proposed tonight.
Her brain works so differently than mine because I'm thinking like it's my birthday. I would like other people to plan all of this for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Her thing was like, no, it's my birthday. Like if I want it done right, like I'm gonna do it all myself. Like she was gonna cook she's cooking for people on her. Like I don't know. I don't get it. I'll never understand it. But yeah, no, she planned it out. She planned out everything exactly how she wanted, and all I gotta do is show up and look nice.
I mean, it's probably the best gift that a boyfriend could ever have on his girlfriend's birthday is just like, I just got to look nice. I just got to look real. But
going to Gila River. Shout out to Gila River, Wild Horse Pass on Sunday. I'm going to be staying out there on Sunday night going into Monday. So it's going to be a good weekend, Damon. I'm excited.
Yeah. It sounds absolutely electric. Shout out Gila River. Shout out Wild Horse Pass. Your mom says clearly Damon hasn't delivered mail in the heat. I haven't done that. I will say, though, my grandpa worked for the Postal Service for, I think, like 50+ years.
Shout out.
And he definitely had his fair share of delivering mail in the heat. Moved to Chicago, got back out to your guys' the Thomas neck of the woods in the Midwest. Had experienced one winter there after living in Arizona for a year and was like, I will never, ever do this ever again. And moved back to Arizona, decided the heat was It outweighed the treacherous winters of the Chicago, St. Louis area. I don't know how you feel about that, Kevin.
I don't know. I've always said I'd rather be cold than hot because
of the sweat.
Well, that also, but just from the standpoint of if you're cold, you can put on a jacket.
Mm-hmm.
If you're hot, there's really not much you can do. Yeah, but you can't always just de-tarp in every context.
I was tarps off in Hawaii.
Well,
that's
a tarps off kind of place, Damon.
No, I got you. I'm just saying that was like I was living it up. I was taking advantage of the moment out there,
No, yeah, definitely. So I don't know my answer to that question of what I would actually prefer, but I think I'd actually might lean towards the cold winters over the hot summers.
Okay. All right. I mean, then my question to you next is why are you here?
Because the weather the rest of the year is so undeniably beautiful.
It is great for 9 months.
That you just can't. It's undeniable, right? It's undeniable how good the weather is for
it is nice.
How many months out of the year? Like 9 months out of the year?
Yeah, 3/4 of the year, the weather is beautiful. It's hard to beat that. I get it, Kevin. I feel you. But yeah, ultimately, can't say I'm living in the same living the same truth as you, Kevin. But shout out your girlfriend. Shout out the birthday dinner tonight.
Indeed.
I hope you guys have a great time. Let's run up those HBDs in the chat. Everybody here, if you're in the chat, thank you so much for being here early in the show. Drop a like on this video. We really appreciate you guys. Luke, Justin, Michael, Max, June, of course, staple of the show. I appreciate everybody for being here. Drop a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already.
Michael wants to know how hot it is in AZ right now. He's flying out to AZ from KC. Lots of stuff going on in KC recently anyway. Guessing 90s already. Yeah. Right now, I think it's 86.
It is, it's 87 degrees I got right now according to Google. High of 91. I'll tell you what, if you are, when is he said he's coming out here?
Did not specify. Oh, tonight.
Tonight?
Okay,
well, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Kevin, to Tuesday, it's going to be in the 70s. Welcome to the show. We'll see you out here.
It is going to be beautiful.
Who said that again? Can you scroll up real quick?
It was Michael.
Michael, brother, get ready to experience some nice 70-degree weather. That's 77, 72, 76, 83 from Sunday to Wednesday. That's beautiful, man.
Ooh, I forgot. He said he's going to be in Tucson for TCU versus Arizona baseball.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, he's hitting all 3 games. That is awesome. That is awesome to get to see all 3 games. That is really cool.
That's great.
That is really cool.
We, of course, will keep you locked and loaded when it comes to all news and updates regarding Arizona versus TCU in baseball this upcoming series. But, Kevin, without further ado, we teased it off the top. We're going to talk about some odds, some NFL futures odds for our guy, Tetairoa McMillan, most recent draft pick. It would be cool if we could get some futures odds on, like, Jonah Savaiinaea.
I was thinking of, I was like, what would we even want? Like,
or Tyler
allowed over under?
But like they're not going to set those lines as of right now. Like they kind of, I mean, obviously Jonah, they can't do over unders for anything for O linemen, but as far as like a Jacory Croskey-Merritt or a Tyler Loop, like they can't set lines for people that, they don't even know if they're going to make the roster or not. Understandably so, but we do in fact have a lot of T-Mac lines. We have Travis Hunter lines, as well as some other notable rookies, Kevin, and for lack of a better term. But yeah, it's I think that we should expect a decent season out of T-Mac in year 1, in my opinion. Just given the fact that the Panthers don't really have a ton of receiving options around him that necessarily would take snaps away from him or take the ball away from him. I think that, there's not a ton of mouths to feed in that Carolina offense from a weapons standpoint. And, the fact that Bryce Young wanted T-Mac as bad as he did, based off of his own words, I would venture to guess that T-Mac is set to have a big year 1 as a rookie. And he's one of those guys, right, Kevin, where it's like it feels like his floor is so high that he should be able to come in right away and make an impact on the roster.
Totally agree with you. And I think what adds to that is like you were saying, there's just not the mouths to feed in Carolina. T-Mac can come in and take a bigger plate, bigger size seat at that table. You know what I mean? Because there just isn't the amount of Adam Thielen is on his way out of the league eventually. You know what I mean? Xavier Legette seemingly does not have that top number 1 potential. as a wide receiver in the NFL. And so it does seem like you are somewhat grooming Tetairoa McMillan to be the number one receiver in Carolina for the foreseeable future. And I think that does start year one. We're going to get into his odds for, yardage totals and things like that. But I do think that this is like maybe a near 1,000 yard season, maybe even over 1,000 yard season for T-Mac, simply because there won't be the other people that he's going to have to compete with in the room for those touches. Kind of like a on steroids version of what he was going through last year at Arizona, right? Where it's just, hey, this is our best receiver. Everyone knows this is our best receiver. Everyone knows what the 2 through 4 guys can do, and they're not that impressed by it. They have some skill there. It is kind of like a supersized version of what he was doing here at Arizona with an undersized quarterback who he has a good relationship with. The parallels are certainly there. So I think that we've seen T-Mac succeed as the guy with not a lot of help around him, and we've also seen him thrive even at a higher level when he does have that help. So if Xavier Legette can take a leap in year 2, right? I think that even helps T-Mac reach that Rookie of the Year or reaches over for his receiving yards total, which we'll get to in a second.
Yeah, certainly. Just running through some of those Panthers wide receivers, they have Xavier Legette, as you mentioned before. Adam Thielen as well, longtime veteran. Actually had a decent season last year. I think he got hurt, but he had 600 yards, 5 touchdowns, and did so in only 10 games played. So I think that's on pace for like a borderline 1,000 yard season if he had played a fully healthy year. That being said, he's 34 years old. How many fully healthy years can you expect out of a guy at that age moving forward? And then they just signed Hunter Renfrow, who, is kind of a big name and has had good seasons before, but was out of the league last year. And I would say factors in as more of a peripheral piece. They have a tight end in the name of Jatavian Sanders, who was a 3rd round pick, I believe, out of Texas a couple of years ago. Maybe he takes some of that share, but ultimately you look at this Panthers roster and I think T-Mac is going to be the guy, like easily, and it shouldn't really be much of a consideration. And it feels like, the organization will probably view it that way as well. Like Adam Thielen, get in his ear, tell him, how can you, provide that leadership for T-Mac as he gets into the league? Show him how to be a professional, show him how to be, a guy that takes care of his body and, it does it the right way, right? Because Adam Thielen is very highly respected. Xavier Legette, I know that that's part of the reason Adam Thielen is there for him as well, but, he had a rough rookie season. I think that he's like a much different type of receiver than T-Mac, but he's also a big-bodied guy, a little bit more stout, probably a little bit more of a run after. Well, actually, I don't know. T-Mac's really good run after catch, but definitely doesn't have the hands that T-Mac has. That's for sure. And so I think that like McMillan's going to be available more so on like the 3rd downs and whatnot, and maybe Legette's going to have to be schemed out a little bit more, but. Hopefully, as you mentioned, like they can play off of one another a little bit, and ultimately, the goal is for them to protect their investment in Bryce Young, and that's why they drafted Tetairoa McMillan, is because they felt that their receiving core and their weaponry around Bryce Young was not to the level that it needed to be for him to develop and succeed in the NFL. And it's great that they have conviction in a guy like this, that they feel that they're willing to use such high draft capital. To pick a player that, a lot of people, frankly, were not, they trashed a little bit throughout the draft process, and the Panthers, clearly they felt that was outside noise.
Yeah. And I was, paying attention to what you were saying, but I was looking down here at my laptop because I was trying to, Michael's Stat Muse comment here that Kelvin Benjamin, has the most receiving yards by any Panthers rookie with 9 touchdowns. Sorry, I said receiving yards. Receiving touchdowns with 9 touchdowns in 2014. And he went on to say 1,008 yards in 2014 as well. 1,000 plus yards, 10 plus touchdowns will break the rookie franchise records, and it's very doable. Also, Luke adds here, 1,000 plus yards in T-Mac's rookie season would be great to throw in Steve Smith's face, which is very true.
Underrated element in
a couple
of
of franchise records in your first year would be a nice little, hi, how you doing, Steve Smith? I'm on pace for you.
But the irony of also Steve Smith being like a Panther.
Yes,
like
precisely.
You view him as a Panther, and everyone remembers Steve Smith, the Panther. And obviously Steve Smith was so vocal about kind of going after T-Mac and then made it, a personal shot into Bobby Wade stuff. But, it's going to be, I can't wait for, and it will happen. There's going to be a moment where Steve Smith officially flips, and we're going to monitor that moment. And I feel like, we'll get some tweets out when that moment happens, but I'm going to like kind of just keep that away up here, Kevin, because there will be a moment where T-Mac does something spectacular and Steve Smith's going to be like, yeah, this guy's the real deal. And we're going to be like, you think,
Yeah.
Steve?
Yeah. Welcome to the party.
Yeah. Thanks, Steve-O. Thanks for catching up, bud.
And I wanted to expand upon what Michael was touching on with Kelvin Benjamin comparison, because when you look at how Carolina utilized Kelvin Benjamin, and I know you probably remember this because Damon is just so locked in on college ball. But like, remember when Kelvin Benjamin was coming out of college, like the hype that kind of surrounded Kelvin Benjamin and the people that thought that he was going to be incredible in the NFL.
That
right?
brother was a tight end.
Yes, 6'5", 245 is what Kelvin Benjamin's listed as on Football Reference. And I wanted to bring this up because, yeah, like Michael says, he also had Cam Newton throwing him passes. He got 145 targets in his rookie year for that 1,000 yards, 9 touchdowns, and he averaged 63 yards per game. And I felt like 145 targets might be a lot. So I felt like maybe, even with a little bit less touches, if T-Mac is the receiver that we think he is, he's better than Kelvin Benjamin was coming out of college. If that's, if he's true to who we think he is, I think T-Mac should easily be able to clear, not easily, but should, with some breathing room, be able to clear 1,000 yards next season, even if he gets like 100 targets or 120 targets. When you look at Xavier Legette last season, who I think we all believe underwhelmed, and I think part of the reason why you go maybe away from Xavier Legette is because he was a little underwhelming last year. He got 84 targets for 497 yards and averaged, where am I looking at here? 31 yards per game last season. So I feel like...
How many targets and how many receptions again?
84 targets, 49 receptions. So I
pretty bad.
Yes, but I think that, again, T-Mac is a better receiver than him. And I feel like when you look at the guy that T-Mac's been compared to a ton throughout this draft process, Drake London, his rookie season, he had 117 targets, 72 receptions, 866 yards. And I feel like there really is an avenue if T-Mac can stay healthy and if Bryce Young continues to improve and if Xavier Legette can be a really good number 2 or maybe Adam Thielen can be that guy. Whatever it is, I think there is a route for T-Mac to get 1,000 yards this season and potentially the 10 touchdowns. I almost feel like the 10 touchdowns is harder to predict because you never know with these things. You saw Jalen Hurts become the ultimate finesser last season and with the tush push and things. So you never know with touchdowns, but it does feel like the 1,000 yards is really in the cards.
Yeah, certainly. Just looking at T-Mac's stats in college, I believe, and I don't have the target numbers here, but I remember somebody saying this, and so, it isn't going to be an exact number, but he had 39 receptions his freshman year on around 80 targets, I believe. He had about a 50% target to catch ratio, and that's obviously pretty bad, and a lot of those were because it was jump balls, and he did lead the conference in yards per reception that year, which I think kind of expands upon that point, just that that he was being thrown deep passes that were not all that efficient in terms of being completed necessarily, but then that improved into his sophomore year tenfold, and then took a step back a little bit his junior year just because there was really no one else to throw the ball to. So but never was as bad as that kind of that around that 50 to 60% number like Legette was last year. I think that obviously has to continue to round itself out. You can't just be inefficient like that. And T-Mac can't just be a jump ball receiver, right? He has to be a guy that, he has to show some separation chops in his rookie season. And I think that's going to be the most important thing for him and in his NFL career as a whole, because we know he can catch, we know he can jump, we know he's a great dude. We know he can run with the ball in his hands, but can he create that NFL separation? I think that's the big question that he's going to have to answer. And I believe he will be able to do so. Maybe not in the conventional sense of and he's not going to be like Malik Neighbors doing it, but he's going to look, he's going to do it better than a lot of 6'4" wide receivers typically show, and that's why he's going to be a special wide receiver in the NFL.
Can I add real
yeah.
quick about the targets conversation? I was looking up on StatMuse. Mileage may vary, but I was looking up on StatMuse like the records for targets from a rookie for a rookie in a season, and Malik Neighbors actually broke the record last season with 170. I thought it was interesting. Brian Thomas had 133. And when you look at the list of players with over 121 targets, which is as low as the list goes, the top 25, not many under 1,000-yard guys. A lot of guys very close to, like Kevin Johnson in 1999, 986, very close to that 1,000-yard. A couple dudes in the like 960, 980 range. It really feels as though if Carolina's focus is we're going to make T-Mac the number one guy, he's going to be our guy.
Yeah.
Kind of like Jacksonville with Brian Thomas last year, kind of like New York with Malik Neighbors. It feels like he's going to be in that 120, 130 target range, which is a lot of targets, but also I feel like we should probably just talk about this next, Damon. Kind of locks you in at the over for his receiving yards, and I think it might lock him in at 1,000. And as we get closer to the season, there will be props, and I might just sprinkle T-Mac over 1,000 yards for a hefty little bit of change.
A little bit of plus money.
I think that it has a good chance of hitting if he is the foundational piece to their offense that they think that he might be.
Yeah, I totally understand that and ride with that point as well, Kevin. Like if the number, and we're going to get into it here in a second, if the number is going to be as low as it is, and we're kind of thinking that the targets are going to be where they are, I do feel that it's hard to believe that, Tetairoa McMillan isn't going to reach his over for this next season. And I love your, kind of your idea of putting just a little bit of a plus money sprinkle on, some plus 1,000 props. They don't have touchdown props up right now, which I'll be very interested to see what those are at, because I kind of think I would be shocked if T-Mac wasn't like a 6, 7, 8 touchdown guy in his rookie season. I really think that
Agreed.
is like almost without a question going to happen. And I do actually have a comparison of Marvin Harrison Jr. stats props as well, Kevin, that we can get into and just kind of look at in regards to T-Mac, like how they compared to one another. The two number one drafted receivers in the last two respective classes.
Can I bring you something interesting? Just a quick little interesting tidbit. I have this list up, like I said, the top 25 rookie targets for receivers of all time, according to StatMuse. Interesting to see that only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the top 25 had double-digit touchdowns as well. So that's additionally what I was saying earlier about, like, I think 1,000 yards, great, let's talk about it. 10 touchdowns breaking the franchise record it feels much more volatile, much more hard to predict. You have guys like Odell that put up 12. Brian Thomas last year put up 10. Jamar Chase with 13. Mike Williams with 11. And then Mike Evans with 12.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a very short list of dudes that were able to get that double digits in their first year and then also have the super high targets. So, yeah, just an interesting little tidbit there in relation to the touchdown and yardage predictions.
Think it's a little bit more difficult, I think, to find the end zone. Like, I would say, like, I would equate, like, 1,000 yards to, like, around, like, 6, 7 touchdowns, like I said. Whereas it doesn't really work, like, it's not like a 10-to-1 type of ratio thing. You know what I mean? Like, if you do that, you're insane, or that's just, like, your total type of player that you are. Like Nick Westbrook-Akine, who's now on the Miami Dolphins, but last year was on the Tennessee Titans, Kevin. He had 32 catches for 497 yards and 9 touchdowns last season.
Wow.
So, like, he literally a third of his catches were for touchdowns. That's so rare, right? So, yeah, I mean, I do think that he's such a special red zone threat, though, right? That maybe that gets thrown to the side a little bit, like that he could be the anomaly in the sense of touchdowns. And Marvin Harrison Jr. was somewhat that guy this past season, I think, for the Arizona Cardinals, despite not even having, maybe the rookie season that a lot of people suspected that he would get. We have a comment here in the chat talking about Cam Skattebo to win the Offensive Rookie of the Year award. As I try to find it here, Kevin.
Chris C. the Grouch. Skattebo exists, so no.
Interesting take. Cam Skattebo is I believe, plus 6,000 with our friends at Bet365 to be the offensive rookie of the year. So
if you believe, that could be a pretty chunk of change for you.
Ahead. Please go ahead, put that money down.
Put that donation. Oh, sorry, I mean money down.
Yeah, plus 6,000 is crazy. He's behind the likes of Will Howard. He's behind the likes of Jalen Milroe, Jaden Blue, who went I believe in the 5th or 6th round to the Cowboys. Luther Burden, who might be option number 5 on the Chicago Bears from a receiving standpoint. Tyler Warren, who's a rookie tight end. Emeka Egbuka, who's behind Mike Evans and Chris Godwin in the receiving chart. Jackson Dart, who's not going to be a starter and plays for a garbage football team. Shador Sanders, who's might be 5th string on his own team. These are the people that Cam Scadaboo is behind. So please, go put your money in. I actually do think that the value on that bet is not bad. I'm not going to lie to you. Plus 6,000, like obviously it's not going to happen, but he could be the starting running back for the Giants next year, hypothetically.
I see the vision. I see your vision there. I don't know.
But
it's still a little blurry.
Yeah,
and I can't see very far.
For reference sake, Bet365 has Travis Hunter to win both offensive and defensive rookie of the year at plus 6,500. So almost the same exact odds as Cam Scadaboo to win offensive rookie of the year. Travis Hunter is to win 2 awards on both sides of the football.
Food for thought, like real quick. I don't really necessarily need to have a whole conversation about it, but just the thought crossed my mind. If Travis Hunter is awesome on both sides of the ball, but like just good, right? If he's just good on both sides of the ball, do you think that he'll have to do less to get those awards statistically because he's doing both? And do you think he'll get like a little bit of like graded on a curve, I'll say, considering that he's doing more? You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean, because that's how he got his Blitnikoff.
Yeah, if it's like a close race and people are like, well, he is doing the defense. He's in the race for defensive player too. Like, do you think that he actually might have to do less to get both awards?
Yes.
Wow.
I think if he was good enough to be close, yes, the scale is weighted differently for Travis Hunter. We saw that with his Heisman. We saw that with his Blitnikoff. Like, he wasn't the best offensive or defensive player in the country last season in college football. But because he did both, they gave him the Heisman Trophy. And I'm actually fine with that one. I would have preferred it was Genty, honestly, but I'm not too pressed about it. I think the receiver one is even more egregious because that specifically is for being the best receiver. It's not the combination of being good at both. It's for being the best receiver. And I will say that, like, if Tetairoa McMillan played on a good college football team last year, he wins the Blitnikoff. I don't really think that that's much of a debate. Like, it comes down to the fact that he played for a 4-win team that they didn't want to give it to him, right?
Yeah,
is what it is. But yeah, the scale is certainly different for a Travis Hunter. Yeah, I mean, here we have the Sam Albert says Big O Jonah is has a better chance than Scat. Max says if it's a non-QB that's not Genty, I'd be surprised. And I agree with you. And I think that, Kevin, this is where we can get into our graphic here, maybe right after the break. But T-Mac is currently in the top 5. He's 4th. We'll run through the names ahead of him. What do we think his chances are of maybe winning Offensive Rookie of the Year? What are his props at? We'll do that right after the break here on the AZ Wildcats podcast. But first, let's talk about our friends at Empire Today. If you need flooring today, Empire Today is the place to call. And we have a promo code for you, $350 off your new flooring. Yes, you heard that right, $350. That isn't some chump change there, Kevin. That is a good chunk of money that you will not regret saving, money that you could spend in other areas, right? But just like, in our neck of the woods, when you want to have your own home floor advantage, your own home field advantage, you want the same thing in your own house, right? That's what Empire Today, that's where they come in. They're going to give you that home floor advantage in your own home. And they're going to do it by bringing you the virtual floor designer that's going to show you exactly what your flooring is going to look like before they put it down, before they place it, before they make it's too late. And you think to yourself, oh, that doesn't look good with those curtains and that wall color and blah, 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 right? Like, you want to know what it looks like beforehand. Empire Today has that with their virtual floor designer. Then they're going to come install it for you. Bring all the materials. You won't have to worry about any of the mess. They're going to handle all of that. That's what Empire Today does. They make it no hassle, no pressure, and it's just so easy. for you to get that new flooring, make such a big purchase with your home. Schedule a free in-home estimate today because some things are just better at home. PHNX listeners can receive a $350 discount when using promo code PHNX. Yes, you heard that right. A $350 discount code with PHNX. Restrictions apply. Visit EmpireToday/PHNX for full details.
And that reminds me, you can probably take that extra $350 that you got in your pocket and head over to our friends over at Sanderson Ford, because they got big news from David Kimmerly, president of America's most awarded Ford dealership, Sanderson Ford. They just announced from America for America employee pricing. Now you pay what David pays, big boss, on any of the full lineup of new Fords with no hassle, no pressure, no nonsense, no added markups. Employee pricing levels the playing field for us here in the general population, from Ford dealers to everyone else. So you get the same set price. However, some dealers, they kind of fudge it up a little bit. They kind of massage it a little bit with some addendums and add-ons to kind of get back that discount they just gave you. But Sanderson Ford does none of that. You can trust the Sanderson Ford because they have the inventory to back it up and 70 years of reputation here in the Valley, treating you right. Is undeniably the most America First automaker in the world. 80% of Ford vehicles are assembled right here in America. Now is the best time to buy a Ford with From America for America employee pricing. And I do want to have a quick disclaimer. This excludes 2025 Expeditions, 2025 Super Duties, Raptors, Mustangs, and Bronco specialty vehicles. Make sure to go head over to our friends over at Sanderson Ford. Damon,
getting back into our
now I got so used to driving the boat while you were all probably on a boat in Hawaii that I kind of took over the wheel there. Please,
Captain Kevin.
No, please,
Captain Kev.
Please, Damon Dog, lead the crowd. Let's do this.
If you are in this chat, please drop a like on this video. We appreciate you guys being here. B's behind enemy lines today. B's good guy, despite being an ASU fan. No one's perfect, Kevin. No one's perfect. But says that he thinks that T-Mac has a decent chance of getting Rookie of the Year just because of the amount of targets that he's going to get in Carolina, similar to Malik Neighbors last year, right? But here's the thing. Malik Neighbors, despite breaking every rookie record, did not win Offensive Rookie of the Year because Jaden Daniels had a generational rookie quarterback season. Should we expect much of the same, Kevin, from this current crop, this current class of NFL, offensive rookies? Because despite this being a very defensive-heavy draft, I do think that there are some heavily presumed favorites for these Offensive Rookie of the Year awards, and, maybe somewhat rightfully so. If we were to, pull up the T-Mac odds here, we can, kind of take a peek at where T-Mac and Travis Hunter are on some stuff, and we'll get into the individualized stuff a little bit later here. But first, I just wanted to hit on where Travis Hunter and where T-Mac stand in terms of Offensive Rookie of the Year, Kevin. T-Mac is currently plus 1,000 for Offensive Rookie of the Year with our friends at Bet365. Travis Hunter is plus 750. Travis Hunter, that is good for third on the list. Tetairoa McMillan, he is fourth on the list. Can you give me the top two? They're pretty obvious.
For the Rookie of the Year?
I put the PHNX Cardinals logo. A little free promo for our friends at PHNX Cardinals.
It's all good. It's all in the family. You know what I'm saying? It's all in the family. Well, I'd be cheating because I was looking at this earlier, Damon Dog.
Yeah, I knew that, Kevin, but, I was giving you a chance to look smart on the show.
I'll say Jacory Croskey-Merritt.
Nice, yeah. Number
one, 1-1.
Nailed it.
Tyler Loop, 1-2.
Well, not an offensive player.
Oh, you're right. He does put up points, though. So you see where my brain was going?
I get you.
He's going to put up so many points in Baltimore with field goals and extra points that it's going to be undeniable.
They might just let him throw the rock.
No, yeah, they really just might let him do it. But honestly, to be honest with you, Damon.
Jonah.
Ooh.
Just such a good guard.
Ooh.
Just the best guard in football.
Will Campbell, because if you let up a sack a game, you're going to be working at some shipping company.
I did see that the other day. It was pretty hard.
Yeah, that does go really hard. But no, in all seriousness, Damon, the Offensive Rookie of the Year, let us know who we got. Top two picks.
Yeah, so I believe Ashton Genty and Cam Ward with Bet365 are tied at plus 275 apiece. I like Cam Ward because he's a quarterback, and I do think it'll be one of those two. I like Cam Ward because he's a quarterback, but I do think Ashton Genty is that he's my favorite if I had to pick between one of the two of them. Because I just think that the floor of a elite running back like that is so high, he should come into the NFL and be a top 10 running back off the jump, right? Whereas Cam Ward, it's going to be a little bit more of a leaning out, trying to figure it out process. And I don't expect the Tennessee Titans to be a very good football team this year. Don't expect the Raiders to be all that great, but a running back can put up 1,400 yards and the team doesn't have to be good, right? So I think Ashton Genty is I think he should be the favorite over Cam Ward on a number standpoint, but I also believe that Tetairoa McMillan should be above Travis Hunter. And it's because, as B says here in the chat, Travis Hunter is, he's going to be used as a defensive back with the Jags. And that's not to say that there's been a lot of rumors swirling that, Travis Hunter might be used more as a wide receiver in the NFL than a DB. And I could definitely see that world where that's the case. I think you can make the argument that a wide receiver in the modern NFL is more important than a cornerback because teams are kind of going to get theirs, I feel like, from a passing standpoint. Like, I there's something to having a battery of Brian Thomas Jr. and Travis Hunter for a decade to come as your wide receivers. But he is going to play defense. So that limits how much offense he can play. Not to mention, he has Brian Thomas Jr. to compete with for targets, whereas T-Mac has Adam Thielen and Xavier Legette to compete with for targets. So because of those factors, I think Tetairoa McMillan should be the third ranked player in Offensive Rookie of the Year, odds, but he is currently fourth behind Travis Hunter.
I think if this was a normal list like you're talking about, he would be third. But I actually think the reason Travis Hunter gets that 250 odds gap there, little cushion, is because of exactly what we were talking about earlier, of like people kind of grading that on a curve.
Yeah.
Because I do think that there's no reason looking at it objectively that you would think, oh, Travis Hunter playing behind Brian Thomas Jr. is going to be the more impactful rookie. There's no way you could believe that. So yeah, I do think that T-Mac realistically should be third behind Ashton Genty and Cam Ward, probably at that plus 750 number. I would even be maybe as crazy to drop it to plus 550 if I was being real. I thought it was interesting that Marion Hampton was fifth at plus 1,400 though.
Yeah,
I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, that's a good number. I mean, because he's going to be the starting running back on a team that you presume to put up a decent amount of points and a team that you expect to run the football a lot because the Chargers and Jim Harbaugh like to run the football. So totally, I'm with you on that one.
And then Shadur Sanders at plus 2,200. I also want to say that Tyler Shaw.
Tell me another one.
What was that, Shane? Shuck.
Shuck, like corn.
That's unbelievable. That is how the English language works.
Arizona boy.
But anyway, Shuck, he is at plus 1,600, almost half of Shador's odds. I thought that was hilarious considering he goes to the Saints high in the draft. I honestly don't think anyone really expected that unless I missed something there.
What are Tyler Shuck's odds?
I think it was plus 1,600. I clicked off the page on our friends over at Bet365, but yeah, I believe it was plus 1,600.
Yeah, I mean that's probably because they presume Tyler Shuck to get some starting opportunities this year, whereas Shadur Sanders has his work cut out for him if he wants to take some snaps. I saw before the show that Kenny Pickett and Joe Flacco are basically neck and neck in odds for who's going to take the first snap of the Browns season as the starting quarterback right now. And Shadur Sanders, it was third, and Dylan Gabriel was fourth. So, and they were very far behind those two. And Deshaun Watson fifth at like plus 2,000, coming off his injury. So,
Colston Loveland plus 2,500.
Horrible bet.
Second
string tight end.
Tyler Warren plus 2,800.
Plays for the Colts.
What other tight ends we got?
Anthony Richardson is his quarterback.
Harold Fannin Jr. plus 8,000. We're just doing tight end talk because Michael brought up what about Penn State tight ends. So now we're just doing all of the tight ends in the draft.
Where's Travion Henderson at?
Travion Henderson is pretty high on the list, just one behind Tyler Shuck at plus 2,000.
Wow.
You can get him for better odds than Matthew Golden.
I mean, I'm not saying that that's going to happen, just that he's clearly the starting running back for the New England Patriots, I think, from the jump, and could be a very, very good NFL football player. Second-round pick. Running backs tend to work out, so
Should we go through the graphic one more time?
Yeah,
to,
let's go through
kind of give our takes on each one of these individually.
Let's go through the stats in particular.
Yeah.
Here, they have Tetairoa McMillan at 800.5 receiving yards on Bet365 at even odds both ways. Kevin, you mentioned to me players that get over 100 targets all reach this number essentially.
Over 120. Over 120.
Well, you said that over 120 reach 1,000 typically.
Yeah.
So I'm saying like over.
You're okay. So you're like
I'm
you're
scaling it down. A
okay. Got you. But yeah, no, I think
it feels like if he stays healthy, that this number is a number that he reaches. Correct?
Yeah, 1,000% correct. I think if we look at it here, 800.5 there on the yardage total. I don't see a reason if he stays healthy and if they utilize him the way that we all anticipate them to utilize him, that he does not reach 800. I feel like if Tetairoa McMillan doesn't reach 800, something has gone wrong from either a schematic or health standpoint, and you never want to see that. So I think T-Mac over here makes a lot of sense, and there's a lot of arguments to be made as to why the over is the pick to be made there, and I know Damon concurs with that.
Yeah, I'm definitely on that over. Love that over number, and as you said, I'm open to kind of trying to tease up that touchdown number once they release that to the public. And we'll keep you monitored on that. I'm sure we'll do another T-Max odds segment throughout this offseason when they start updating a few more things, right? But
there you go, Michael.
I'm all in on that 800. First thing, Michael says, first thing he does when he lands in Phoenix is putting a good chunk of change on that over 800 number for T-Mac. Got to do it with our friends at Bet365. Promo code PHNX, right?
I believe so.
Why did I look at the sign like it was going to have it under the thing on the sign? But yeah, make sure you do it with our friends at Bet365 because I'll be honest, I looked at some other books beforehand to see if maybe they had a touchdown number for me. None of them had it, but other, competing sports books, Kevin, had that number at higher than 800. They had it at 825. I saw on one of them. So if you want that number, the lowest that you're going to find it, the best odds you'll find it at, you're going to go to Bet365 to get your bet in. And I will be right there with you, Michael. I'm going to toss that rock in on that future because I absolutely love that that 800 number. But I mean, and I looked it up. 800 yards for 17 games, and forgive me, my laptop died on me, so I gotta
my condolences for your laptop.
47 yards a game.
Not bad at all.
Come on, he can rip that.
Yeah,
easy.
I mean, I was saying that Kelvin Benjamin, as Michael alluded to earlier, I think it was 63 or something like that yards per game on average. Like, I feel like that is something that's very doable for T-Mac, even though I feel like that is at the higher end, even for a rookie, right? Like, I feel like expecting 60, 70 yards a game is a lot to ask, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But for a guy like T-Mac, for the investment that they're putting into him, I think that is kind of the expectation, is to come in and compete with that. Doing the Mario Kart race where you're racing against the record, I think the expectation is going to be, we expect you to be on pace or better than Kelvin Benjamin's rookie season, which is the franchise best.
Yeah, certainly so. I love this comment from Michael that I didn't see from earlier. He said Warren might end up being the Colts quarterback. So that's why he thinks there's some decent value there, because he'll take Tyler Warren notoriously took some snaps under center for Penn State. And the Colts have Anthony Richardson at quarterback, who stinks. So, and Daniel Jones is the backup. So,
and then Max
crazy
says,
things have happened.
Call me crazy, but I'm going to sprinkle a little bit on Tyler Shuck.
Okay. Let's get back to this graphic here, Kev, as we have Travis Hunter down there at 700.5 receiving yards, minus 110 both ways. And yeah, I guess this kind of proves your point from earlier, Kevin, that, he does have to do less, I guess, because they're just going to scale it differently. Because him being plus having 250 points better in the offense rookie of the year, but being 100 less on the over under, kind of wild. Right?
Yeah, it means they expect him to probably have a couple interceptions, and then they expect him to have less yardage on offense as a result of that. And so that would push him over the edge somehow, I think, in a close race, which is kind of, I'm not sure how I feel about it either. I don't think I feel too good about that, but it kind of is an unavoidable thing, right? Because you're supposed to probably take it of just isolated offensive stats, but not often do you have a guy that's doing what Travis Hunter is going to attempt to do at the NFL level, at least. And I feel like, I don't know, you're not supposed to grade on a curve with that kind of stuff, but it almost feels like you'd be punishing him a little bit if you weren't going to take it into consideration that he's doing other stuff. But if you're not playing the snaps and not putting up the numbers, you're not putting up the numbers and you're not playing the snaps. But there's a reason he's not doing that. You know, like, it's not like he was injured. It's not like he's not good enough. Like, if he's putting up good numbers on offense, but just not playing all the snaps, and maybe you do the per whatever snap,
like his efficiency numbers,
right? Maybe I could see you making the argument for him getting over a guy who had all the snaps and all the stats. So, yeah, it's an interesting conversation, to be honest with you. Like the Travis Hunter thing.
I think similarly to how it was for him in college football last season, his efficiency numbers have to be through the roof in terms of if this guy played more snaps at receiver, he would be clearly far and away the best. Because you can't just value hypothetical projections that are made up and, based in not reality. You know what I mean? Like that's a weird thing for me to, he won Biletnikoff because, if he had as many targets as T-Mac, he would have had more yards and touchdowns. Oh, okay. That's really cool. Well, that's kind of like the whole point, right? Is like that we watched it play out. So I agree. That's a hard balance, but his efficiency numbers better be like far and away through the roof better than everybody if he wants to win Offensive Rookie of the Year while also not having the best overall statistics. But also Tetairoa McMillan at plus 20,000 for Offensive Player of the Year, which is obviously lofty and very unrealistic.
Feels about right.
Yeah.
Even though it is a huge number, it feels about correct.
I will, in fact, not be sprinkling on that one, Kevin.
Wow. I also will not be sprinkling on that one.
There's charities that are in good need of donations.
Big brothers, big sisters.
Exactly, Kevin. Exactly.
Yeah. But no, I think looking at these odds this morning, I was pretty much expecting what I saw. I do think that T-Mac's number, if you set it from the book's perspective, right, from Bet365's perspective, right, I feel like they haven't told me this, but I feel like if you set that any higher, no one's going to bet the over. Maybe outside of like us fanatical T-Mac people that know how talented he could be and are going to bet on his ceiling rather than his floor. And so I don't think it could be any higher, which is why we look at the targets and we feel like it's so low. But if it was any lower, everybody's taking the over because I feel like we said, the 1,000 yards is right there for T-Mac next season if he is who we think that he is. And Travis Hunter being 100 yards less than T-Mac, but 250 odds better for Rookie of the Year. That was probably the biggest takeaway I had of
that's odd.
Of that's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It could T-Mac realistically have like some sort of breakout rookie year next year, or do you think it's going to be more of a slow burn?
Yeah, no, I think absolutely. I think there's a world in which he kind of sets the world on fire, similarly to how Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas did it last year, and even Ladd McConkey, who was had a phenomenal rookie season. So there's totally a world. Nowadays, there used to be a narrative in the NFL that receivers needed a little bit of time to kind of grow into the offense, gain chemistry with the quarterback. Feels like that's changed. Like the script is flipped a little bit there, where guys can make impacts right away in the NFL. And honestly, I expect Tetairoa McMillan to be one of those guys, given the role that I expect him to have on his new team, and given the targets that I expect to be available to him in that offense. I mean, think about this too. The Dave Canales, the Panthers head coach, was the offensive coordinator of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers before he took that job. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, number one wide receiver for the last 10-ish years, Mike Evans. Mike Evans, one of the number one comparisons for Tetairoa McMillan coming into the league. I know that's lofty. I know a lot of people don't love that comparison and think, maybe even Drake London is more apt and whatnot. And I probably would concur, but just saying that like a big-bodied, red zone threat, jump ball type of wide receiver with elite hands has worked in that offense before. They have a role for it already. I expect there to be kind of a designated role built in for him in this new offense from the jump. So I do think that he's going to have a breakout season. I do think that he's going to be, I'll say top 3 in Rookie of the Year. I know that's not the hottest it takes. He's 4th right now. but I'm going to say top 3 in Rookie of the Year voting for offensive players.
I will agree with you, and I will do you one better. I'll say T-Mac will land in the top 2 of Rookie of the Year.
Who's trash, Cam Ward or Ashton Genty?
That's tough, actually. I don't know. I don't know which one of those two I'd rather throw in there for my official prediction. I was more focused on getting T-Mac into the top 2, less focused on getting someone out of the top 2.
One-upping Damon.
No.
Oh, Damon, what was that? You said 3? Well, I like the top 2. Oh, you think he'll get 1,200 yards? I think he'll get 1,201 yards.
The Price is Right. I'm just the Price is Right.
Type of guy like me. I don't know.
Yeah. You know the kind of guy I am. I just can't be out optimistic. You know what I mean? I can't do it. Max also says we're getting real degen here in the chat, but Max also says sprinkle Will Campbell plus 1 gajillion in case he actually does die protecting Drake May. That's great. That's really good. But yeah,
it does kind of suck that you could be like the best offensive lineman in the league, and they're just like, I'm sorry, we don't give awards to guys like that, and you're just like, oh, okay, well, an elite offensive lineman is much more valuable than an elite running back.
Yeah,
but sure.
Yeah, I mean the disrespect to O linemen is crazy.
It really is.
The torture they put their body through. Like you see it as soon as they retire, they become normal-sized humans again, and you're like, "Wow, how did that happen? There was a human in there. That's crazy."
Well, they're the biggest dudes on the field, but they're other than quarterback, they're the only position where they're on the field every single play, and they never switch out.
And they're like, if it's a run play, a receiver might not exert themselves at all on a play, right? Every single play, O linemen are going 100% full exertion.
It's
full
crazy.
Stop,
it's
full
crazy
exertion, full stop, full exertion. It's crazy. Yeah. But I wanted to touch on Michael's comment here in the chat. It says, the real question is, where are we drafting T-Mac in fantasy? And Damon, this is your bag. This is your round.
This is my bag.
I wanted to ask you what your preliminary thoughts are on where we're taking T-Mac in the PHNX fantasy draft next season.
Yeah. So I'll start off by talking about his...
Wait. Sorry. I'll give you actually a second to think about that. I just realized you and I are going to have to fight over T-Mac in the draft next year.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to get nasty. It's
going
to get gross. I don't want to fight with you over T-Mac. But I'm going to have to do it. And it's going to be like wrestling. Like, you and I are going to be fighting over T-Mac in the draft, and then, Bo's going to come swooping. Yoink. One pick before one of us. And we're going to be like, what? Clearly we had dibs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But continue.
That's what Shane did with Marvin last year with Johnny and Bo, is he popped up right in front of both of them.
Yep.
But I'll tell you right now, I'm currently joining an ESPN mock draft, so I can see where the rankings are of Tetairoa McMillan in redraft leagues overall. I'll talk about Dynasty here for a second while I wait, because I do have a Dynasty league, and we already did our rookie draft. T-Mac is typically in Dynasty leagues going, these are rookies only that you're picking in these Dynasty leagues, because you have the rest of your roster filled out. Ashton Genty is the clear-cut number 1 player. Cam Ward, I think, is probably number 2, and T-Mac I've seen as number 3/4, depending on how high people value Travis Hunter in these Dynasty leagues. Meaning you get to keep them year after year after year. So obviously rookie players that you project to be really good players in the NFL are more valuable than, say a Tyreek Hill, who's already an elite wide receiver, but might not have that many years left in him, right? So T-Mac is he's like a top 10 receiver in Dynasty formats, which I think goes to show what his talent level is at, how people value him, and how good he's expected to be in the NFL. And yeah, I would definitely use a top 3-4 Dynasty pick on him and run to the podium and be pumped about it. But getting into redraft leagues, and just kind of, where T-Mac is slotted in those, checking here, I'm seeing him blah, blah, blah at player number 58, Kevin, which would make him, I believe, a 5th round pick in most 10, 12 man leagues. And I kind of love that.
Yeah.
Because I think rookies last year won people their leagues.
Yeah.
Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas last year, drafting them in the, Malik Neighbors, I think, was like a 3rd, 4th round pick, but drafting Brian Thomas in like the 8th round won people their leagues. Brock Bowers, drafting him where people drafted him, won people their leagues. Ladd McConkey, same thing. I think 6th round, you could get a clear number 1 option on his team, a guy who's a top 20 fantasy receiver, and you got him in the 5th round there. I love that pick.
I will be taking. All I heard is I will now be taking T-Mac in the 4th round. In our fantasy draft, maybe even the 3rd round in our fantasy draft, because I just won't be playing fantasy if I can't have T-Mac on my team.
Sure.
And I wanted to ask you, because I'm more of a fantasy football casual, so I wanted to ask you this question: if Travis Hunter goes out there and gets picks, do you get any, or are you only allowed to benefit from his receptions, like his offense?
Yes, you are only allowed to benefit from his offense, I believe.
That feels silly.
Yeah.
If the brother goes out there and gets an interception, I get none.
No.
That's foolish. What if he's like, if you move him to the flex, now he like what? Why would he only have to be a receiver? I don't know. That just,
I'm with you.
I was thinking about that because I was like, if Travis Hunter goes out there, and I guess then you get into the weird thing of like yards allowed and catches allowed and all that kind of stuff. But I feel like if you just gave like credit for catches against and then like deflections and interceptions, I feel like it's doable. But I mean, it is like a competitive balance thing, right?
But I'm really not. I'm sorry. I should take that back. I understand what you're saying, but I think that's why Travis Hunter is the unicorn that he is. You have to value him in a weird way, and like see if you can find value on the type of player that he is and the role that he'll play. And that's kind of one of the nuances I think of, where Travis Hunter is going to stand in fantasy football throughout, the next decade or so, decade and a half of him playing in the league. But yeah, I do find it interesting. Here's some of the names T-Mac is around in terms of fantasy value. He's in a group of all wide receivers, kind of in his range, and it goes in order from 54 to 61. Kevin, Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, who a lot of people compared him to, Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith, Tetairoa McMillan, Calvin Ridley, George Pickens, Rashee Rice.
Okay. How does that make you feel? I'll say you're our resident fantasy expert on this podcast. How does that make you feel?
Yeah, Jerry Jeudy, I don't think Cleveland's passing game is going to be all that good. I'd rather have Tetairoa McMillan than him. Cortland Sutton, I could see, Bo Nix look decent. They don't have a lot of receiving options. I could see you trying to pick that guy over him. Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith are both number 2 options. That's the only reason that they're as low as they are. They're great players, but how do you value a guy who's maybe not having to share the target share a little bit more? I think I'd still probably rather have them than T-Mac because I think they're a little safer in year 1. And then I'd rather have him than Calvin Ridley, George Pickens, and then Rashee Rice is debatable for me because Rashee Rice was going to win me my fantasy league last year before he tore his ACL because
I remember
Patrick Mahomes threw the worst interception of all time.
I remember
cost me over $1,000. I think about it every night.
Ouch.
I think about it every day. I lost in my championship, and didn't have Rashee Rice for basically the entirety of my season, and he was like wide receiver 2 when he got hurt. And I had CeeDee Lamb, who was wide receiver 1 at the time. So I had both of them.
I'm just happy I made the playoffs last year in our fantasy league, Damon.
Dude, you're the worst team I've ever seen make playoffs.
I'm proud of it, too. Damn proud.
That's good managing.
No one wanted to admit it during the season, but it was impeccable management by me to get that sorry-ass team into the playoffs. A lot of luck. So much luck. So much benevolent, beautiful luck.
So much.
Just like you benevolent, beautiful people here in the chat. Mm-hmm. Thank you all for joining us today.
All of our bestest friends in the world.
Our bestest friends, closest family, the blood thing, the blood pat, whatever you want to call it.
Blood brothers and sisters.
Yeah. Love all of you guys. We appreciate each and every one of you guys for stopping into today's stream, talking with us about T-Mac and the Offensive Rookie of the Year odds and Travis Hunter being graded on a curve and all that. With Damon and I will be back tomorrow with another show at noon, talking Arizona athletics. Maybe Carter Bryant, just decides, hey, that draft thing that I think I'm going to do, not going to do it anymore. I'm just going to come back and save y'all the trouble.
Just realized
me and Damon can rip on that.
Just went to Dirtbags last night. Realized I love Tucson.
Realized I just love the game. I just love the game too much.
Can you imagine? Do you think there's ever been a U of A basketball player who's done something like that? Like they've gone out on university and they've been like,
certainly. They've
been like, damn, I can't leave.
Certainly. Shout out to AZ Cats G for your buzzer-beating super chat, as always.
Legend.
Because we are not going into overtime today. We appreciate you. Missed the show. Hi. You can always watch it back. Hello. But yeah, Damon, that is farewell.
Do we have another super chat?
Do we have another super chat? Oh, my mom said happy birthday to my girlfriend, Jonah. So
happy birthday, Jonah.
Indeed.
Goat talk, for real.
Indeed. Go talk for real. Let's get up out of here, Damon.
Let's do it, Kevin. You can follow me. I am at Damon Dog. That's DAWG. You can follow him at Kevo Posts. That's KEVOPOSTS. We are at PHNX_Wildcats on Twitter. Give us a follow. We're going to be the hub for all your Arizona athletics news and notes. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. We are less than 100, I think, or maybe around just at 100 away from 40K subscribers.
Unbelievable.
If you haven't subscribed, please do so. Help us get on that road to 40K. Who knows? Maybe there's a prize if you're the 40,000th. There's not. But you get to have the dignity and pride of saying it. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and we will catch you tomorrow on a Friday edition at noon on the AZ Wildcats podcast. Until then, peace out, bear down,
and go Cats.
We all silly like the mayor.